For some more wide receiver talk, let's move on to the Browns, the Cleveland Browns. Let's go straight to there. Top of my notes pad says Odell Beckham trade with a big question mark next to it. Now that isn't because, yeah, you're straight in with I think they should. I think they
told you in the
so let's get
playoffs
into it.
that I think that as great as Odell is, and I'm not taking anything away from him, he's a beast, and he gets a bad rap because another guy who is not getting into trouble, they're killing him for having fun or saying stupid shit. Well, that's what young rich people do, right? So my thing with Odell is I think you showed addition by subtraction only because I think Baker was forcing him the ball.
Right, but is that an Odell problem?
No, but it's a Browns problem, and it becomes a Baker problem. So therefore, you get rid of Odell so you don't have that issue. So
yeah, but if Baker
you can get even a first-round pick for Odell right now with the way you played last year, and you got good young receivers, you got Jarvis Landry, who's a straight fucking dog.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I'm a big believer in Baker Mayfield. I'm like, and Kevin Stefanski, that offense. For me, I say offensive line, but the Browns to me are in the perfect spot because they need a safety and they need defense. But I really think they end up with Anthony Harris as their safety, the Viking safety who was franchised and going to leave. He was with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota. He's a great corner or a great safety. The Vikings just can't afford him, Harrison Smith, and all the other shit going on.
Yeah.
I think that fixed their safety problem, and I think they can literally just choose depth.
Yeah, depth in the draft as they go. I think with Odell, I do get it. I do get the Browns' record was better without Odell. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he had a really good season. I think Donovan Peoples-Jones kind of has the making of a number two. Higgins might be him free agency, but apart from that, and then Jarvis Landry is a number one in quite a lot of teams he could go to. Jarvis Landry can make a number one easily. And there is definite trade value. I don't think it's a number one with the amount of wide receivers that are on the market and the amount that are in the draft. If you're shopping Odell, I think Odell is worth a number one. He's worth a round one draft pick, not a number one draft pick. I just think if you're shopping him and people know that you want to get rid of him, I think it's kind of like they're not going to give you the number one, a round one pick. But I think it's not a Beckham problem. It's a Baker problem with why Beckham not being in the team affected them so much. Baker looks at him, sees he's covered, and then waits for him to get open. No, just go through your progressions. I don't think there was a lot of or too much of Baker asking for the ball. I think that is a media narrative that has surrounded Odell Beckham saying, give me the ball, and they just love getting.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was a vocal thing. I think it was a subconscious thing. Like, Odell's my number one. I got to get him the ball. And
but I think
he looked less stressed and tense when Odell wasn't on the field.
Yeah, but I think after that, then you can kind of say to Baker now, you can kind of be like, oh, well, Baker might know now not to do that. And I think if you keep him, you immediately have star power and you also have Jarvis Landry, which is crazy to say that you immediately have star power if you get rid of another guy when Jarvis Landry is your wide receiver. But if they're double teaming Odell, if they're having to defend Jarvis Landry and Jonathan Peoples-Jones is a good number three, possibly kind of a 2.5 or 2, then you've got much more room to run, which is where the Browns should be. The Browns should be handing the ball off all the time.
That's actually the reason I think another reason you can get rid of him, because actually your running backs can run routes too.
Yeah.
But I have a landing spot for him for a number one.
Go.
Buffalo.
Oh, and they just freak out with Diggs and Beckham. That would be insane. I would like it. I think Beckham would be in for it as well. If they're willing to go for it, then I would say.
I think if you're willing to give up a 1 for Diggs, I think Beckham's a better receiver than Diggs.
I think Beckham's the biggest.
Diggs is amazing. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but pure talent. And if you could, what has Beckham got? 2 years left on his deal or something? 3. So it's not like it's a one and done situation. You don't have to give him a new contract. His big money's been paid out already in the front. if he causes a problem, you can get out for cheap. And if it's just a number one where the Bills are drafting, why not?
Yeah.
And you got to compete with Patrick Mahomes every year.
Yeah, Tampa. Chris Godwin goes, bringing Beckham in Tampa, and they're trading 32. Like, you would say that Beckham would be higher than
I think a contender
pick.
would give you a number one if they think they're one receiver away from winning it. Like, and I think Buffalo is got to be thinking we got to score 14 more points every game at least to beat Kansas City.
I do understand the idea of trading him. I just personally wouldn't get rid of your star. I get the idea of trading him to kind of build up the other side of the ball because all their star power is on offense, but their defense was playing absolutely lights out towards the end. Their defense was smashing it.
Sheldon Richardson is one of the best three techniques in football. Myles Garrett minus trying to kill people is one of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, Olivier Vernon off an injury. I think he's a free agent. I think you have to worry about that.
He's becoming a free agent.
And he's coming off an injury, but like you re-sign him. That defense is good. Ward is a great corner, like young and good. Like, granted, you could use upgrades and depth, but like I said, I think they're in a perfect spot where they don't have to reach for anybody.
Yeah, you could really use somebody at safety or linebacker, but I also think where they could kind of go in free agency is just give Myles Garrett some help on that defensive line. Imagine Myles Garrett playing opposite.
Well, that's why they wanted JJ.
Yeah, exactly. And JJ shows that, doesn't it? Like, the fact that they went in for JJ kind of shows that. So imagine Myles Garrett opposite Yannick Ngakoue, Leonard Williams, Jadeveon Clowney, if you really want to go into that mess. But, anyway, imagine him opposite one of them. I think they're also going to have to replace Olivier Vernon. By the sounds of it, he's becoming a free agent. By the sounds of it, they're not re-signing him off the.
I don't disagree with anything you said, but personally, I got the issues with Yannick. So
I know you do, but I know. And
it's not even his fault. It's not even his fault. But I got issues with that. Was the worst fucking trade, and then trading him off. Don't get me started. And I love Rick Spielman, but that whole fiasco pissed me off. But whatever.
Yeah, but there's a few there's a few out there that they could get, and they're going to need to fill the hole that Vernon's leaving us up.
If Yannick could ever learn how to play the run, he is going to be a freaking all-pro.
Yeah, and it kind of plays complementary football for them, because if they can control the ball, like you always think if the Browns can control the ball. So if you think, right, we're stop the run, get to the quarterback up front, that's what we want to do because we want to control the ball. And with all that said, I've got them. If you fix your defensive end and safety needs, we've talked about this. You can probably push them down, or they can take the best safety on the board. But who might be left on the board for them is Xavier Collins, the linebacker out of Tulsa, who is an absolute baller. And I know you don't usually pick linebackers in the first round. They're the 26th pick in the draft.
No, I think he's a great pick. I think late in the draft, you can pick linebackers. The defense they play needs a bunch of linebacker rotation.
Yeah, exactly.
I personally think that this is just me. And because of the GM they have and the fact that Stefanski 17 years with the Vikings and Rick Spielman, I think they will sign Anthony Harris, and I think they will trade back out of the first round and pick up more picks.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going for as of things right now, like they've got the 26th pick, but obviously it would make total sense for them to trade out of that pick and pick up some depth. But this guy, honestly, I was watching the highlight stuff again, British, so can't really watch college football. I find that very hard to watch. But this guy, man, his highlight reel is madness. That play he made against UCF for a safety, where he just flies through the offensive line and tackles the guy behind the end zone to get a safety. You guys are listening to an NFL podcast, so you know what a safety is. But he just flies through, and it's a great play, and he has an awesome highlight reel. And I know you can't only look at highlight reels, but
no, I don't disagree with you. I just popped in my head. They do want some more help on the offensive line. Yeah. Maybe trade Beckham in your first pick and move up for one of the top linemen if you can.
They've got I think they also have the best offensive line in the NFL. Like they've got
Well,
the PFF say they have the best offensive line in the NFL, but
they do. But their problem came in last year was they didn't have any depth.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I was thinking depth, maybe if you want to get one of the top offensive linemen to give you like who can start, give your guys more depth, or even whatever you think it is, maybe you use Odell in a package.
Yeah, I think if they're going to use Odell, they use it for if they see a defensive end that's going to be up there.
That would be great too.
If they see a defensive end that's going to be up there, and if they trade to somebody like the Bills, then they could fix both in the first round, the defensive end and the linebacker.
Yeah, and they blitz their linebackers all the time, so a rusher does not have to be a D end for them.
Yeah, and Xavier Collins is a rusher, is an absolute animal.
That's why I was agreeing with you that it doesn't have to be a D end to get a pass rush. Your best pass rusher right now is technically a linebacker in Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and I watched the film on Micah Parsons today as well. This is what I've been doing today. There's not a lot of travel story stuff going on today. Sir. Not a lot of travel story stuff going on today. So I've just been going through film, and I was looking at Micah Parsons tape, and I was like, do you know what? Xavier Collins has better highlight reel tape. I'm just gonna say that again. Better highlight reel tape. His film editors have put it together, and it's better than Micah Parsons. But Micah Parsons, by all accounts, is a generational talent. So.
This is the first year where I almost feel like trading for a guy is safer than the draft, even though the money's not there with the salary cap, because the season was weird. Guys opted out. There's no combine. The only time you get to see these guys is the Senior Bowl or their pro days, and like they don't get the interviews. They don't get to bring 50 guys out like they normally do. This is going to be a really uninformed draft for the first time for these guys. And it's not like the draft is a fucking science anyway. It's hit or miss, you know? So this could be a real weird draft. So I think I could see more crazy trades and movement almost with teams going, you know what? This year we're safer taking a proven guy.
Yeah. Can you just say all that again? Because you cut out, and you know when it does that weird like robot-y like
sure.
Yeah. So we'll go through that again.
I just think that this year might be a better year to go for a trade than ever before, because with the weird offseason and the no combine, no like guys opting out from COVID, and the only thing they had was the Senior Bowl, and now these pro days, and only 3 guys can go to a pro day, and coaches can't go coach on the pro days anymore, and you don't get the interviews except by Zoom. I think some teams might go, it's a bigger risk in the draft this year than to go for a proven guy, because we didn't get any time with these guys, but also the cap's going to cause a problem. It's going to be a really weird draft in offseason. Yeah,
and I think we both agree that the Browns are nearly there. They're nearly there. They've got to find they kind of play, if they can get out of the division, which I personally think they will, make it into the playoffs. They're going to come up against teams like Buffalo and Kansas City, and they're going to play a brand of football that is going to work against Kansas City and the Bills, because obviously to run first, keep Patrick Mahomes, keep Josh Allen off the field, and then you've got every chance. And so I think that's why they're kind of like they're just a few people away, maybe just some depth away, even not maybe one more game player on the defense, and then they're close to being able to make a kind of run for it.
I said it earlier. This is their division.
Yeah, where I do agree with you.
Who thought we'd be saying that?
I know.
2020 really did turn the world upside down.
Yeah, when we first started doing this, and we were in when we were in the NFC North podcast, and we were first doing this, we were both kind of saying, "Hey, man, don't sleep on the Browns. We think that they've got it. So well done to us, man. Get in."
I'm excited to watch the Browns this year. Like I said,
me too.
I never have 2 teams. I'm a straight Skull Nation guy, right? But I always have those darling teams that you like to watch, and the Browns have become one of those teams for me that I love watching them play, because I'm a big Kevin Stefanski fan. I was a big fan of Baker coming out of college. I had so many fights about Baker and Sam Darnold in that draft. And
yeah,
Josh Allen, too. I kind of have to bite my tongue on Josh Allen, even though I thought he was better than Sam Darnold. I did not think he would be what he is.
yeah.
Granted, you already know I'm a Sam Darnold kind of hater. Like, I hope the kid becomes everything everybody said. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Well, Maddie, I think we covered them all. Anything else you'd like to add? Just cut me off and jump in.
No, I think we're good. I think we've got him.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, like and follow, or like and subscribe. If you're watching us on Facebook, like and follow. And Maddie's going to be dropping some podcasts on different platforms, so you can look out for that. And Maddie, you got any idea what some of the platforms may be for them?
Yeah, in weeks to come. So it takes a while before you can get registered on things like Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify Podcast. So they should be on by next week, and it will be the Yankee and the Brit. So if you prefer to not look at us when we're talking, which is very understandable with the hair that we've got going on and things like that, then I think that's a great place for you to listen to it too. And it'll be on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, as well as things like Breaker. And if you particularly want it on any other podcasting things, please feel free to comment below and let us know. If you're listening to this on the podcast already, I'm sorry you didn't need to hear that, but that's fine. Great.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Well, if you don't think we suck, tell a friend to tell a friend. And thanks again for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.